What is going on, everybody? Welcome back into TTP Sports, and the Eagles season is over. The Eagles season is finally over. The pain, the misery, the absolute frustration that this team has put us through, I would say for the past 7-8 weeks, it's finally done. It's finally done. I what is there to say? They got their asses handed to them again. Just again. It's the same stuff, rinse and repeat. Basically, since you got your asses spanked by San Francisco. That is basically it. It has been the same rinse and repeat stuff since then. And it feels like ever since then, every single week, this team has got worse and 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 worse. And tonight was probably the icing on the cake. Felt like it, at least. Offensively, just weren't there at all. Did not barely converted on your third downs. I think you only had one third down conversion, probably none. I feel like you had no third down conversions at all night. Offensive game plan was basically the same the entire game. You barely used the run game when we were screaming for you to use the run game. Obviously, they avoided it. When DeAndre Swift got stopped once, they avoided it. Basically it. If you want to go to this entire game and just look how many times they completely avoided the run, it's basically how many times have they avoided the run? They ran the ball 15 times today. 15 times. DeAndre Swift had 10 carries for 34 yards. Hurts ran the ball one time, and that was it. That was basically it for your run game. Kenny Gainwell also had 4 carries. He only had 3 yards. Jalen Hurts, 25 of 35, 250 yards, 1 touchdown, took 3 sacks, also a safety on an intentional grounding, and he had a quarterback rating of 100.9. Jalen, he's not the first, second, or third reason why you lost tonight. He still wasn't good. Obviously, there was something affecting him there, and the whole game plan for Tampa Bay's defense, the entire game plan, blitz. We knew this coming into this week. We knew that was going to be what Todd Bowles did the entire time. Tampa Bay blitzes the most in the entire NFL. Tampa Bay can literally hold a gigantic poster board on their sideline that says, "We are only going to blitz. We're only going to blitz. This down is a blitz. We're blitzing. We're blitzing. We're blitzing. We're blitzing." And this Eagles team would still not have an answer for that. Because anytime they face the blitz, anytime there's pressure where Jalen Hurts has 2 guys coming after him, has no time in the pocket, throws it away, tries to chuck it deep, and he misses guys that are wide open. Because he has no time in the pocket to establish anything. And yes, some of that goes on Hurts for not reading the blitz. Some of that goes on the offensive line for not stopping the blitz and giving Jalen Hurts all that time and space. And then the rest goes on your coaching staff for not adjusting, for not putting any single adjustment into defending and stopping the blitz, not putting your players in a position to succeed. That is basically it there. Did not put your players in a position to succeed once. I would say the only player on offense tonight that showed up for the Eagles was Devontae Smith. He had 8 catches for 148 yards. His longest was a 55-yard catch that went down to, I believe, the 5-yard line in Tampa Bay's territory. DeAndre Swift had 4 catches. Dallas Goedert had 4 catches for a touchdown. Julio Jones had 3 catches, and he also left the game early with a concussion. Go figure. Quez Watkins, of course, remember when he was supposed to answer the calls this week? Remember when Jalen Hurts says, when the phone rings, you pick it up and you answer the phone, and you said, "I've been ready. I've been ready to prove myself." Well, it looks like you ran out of minutes, Quez. it looks like you changed carriers, you changed your mobile plan, and you ran out of minutes. So where when the phone rang, the call didn't go through. Your phone didn't ring once. The call just got disconnected because you ran out of minutes, because you signed up for the cheaper mobile option from a worse company, and your phone is basically useless. You're useless, Quez Watkins. You are useless. That is the bottom line there. Defensively, what else is there? Poor tackling. Poor tackling. And when there were sequences in the game when you were actually getting sacks on third down, I'm like, what the hell is this? Oh, then there's Bradbury missing a tackle. Oh, then there's a bunch of other guys missing tackles. Oh, there's another missed tackle by Bradbury, which turns into a 55-yard touchdown run. Oh, Bradbury's cooked. Oh, Eagles can't tackle. Oh, there's a good pass by Baker Mayfield. Oh, can't stop the run. Oh, can't do this. Oh, can't do that. Oh, can't do this. See what I mean? See what I mean? It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And not firing Sean Desai, but removing play calling and demoting Sean Desai was supposed to fix all of this. It was. It was supposed to fix all of this. It made it worse. It made it worse. Who thought that putting Matt Patricia as the face of your defense, calling the plays, was going to make things better? Who thought? Who would have thought that was the best idea in the world? And then at the end of the game, when Jason Kelce, you see him hug Stoutland, you see him take that long walk through the tunnel to the locker room, basically in tears. Who knows if that's Jason Kelce's last game in an Eagles uniform? And if so, I'm sorry. That was the performance your team put out there. That was your performance the team put out there in 6 out of the last 7 weeks. It is. I'm sorry. I don't know if Jason Kelce's coming back, because from those reactions, it doesn't look like it. I'm sure he's got a lot of pander in the offseason with him and his family. Make a lot of decisions. We've been having this question for so many seasons in a row. When was it going to be finally time that he hangs up the cleats? This could possibly be that time. Is Brandon Graham coming back? Is Fletcher Cox coming back? Lane Johnson? Your vets that we've been talking about for a while. Guys that have been here for years. For years. 10 plus years. Will those guys come back? It's a big question mark there. But I think the biggest thing that you could take away from this game, no coach should survive. No coach, not a single coach. Offensive coordinator Brian Johnson, head coach Nick Sirianni, and defensive coaches. I'll just call them defensive coaches. I don't even know if one of them is even considered a coordinator. Sean Desai and Matt Patricia. Goodbye. 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 Get out of here. Leave. Leave. I don't want to see you anymore. You don't deserve to have a press conference in the next few days. After the fact, they're still going to have their press conferences after the game directly. That's going to be a fact. But they shouldn't be having press conferences Monday, Tuesday, this week. They shouldn't. They shouldn't even see the light of day then. All of those guys should be gone. They should be gone. It should be Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman having a long press conference, a very long press conference, our press conference, all the media and everything. And for maybe the first 10, 15 minutes of that press conference should be a very long apology. A very long apology to all the fans, everybody in Philadelphia, for wasting our time. We're sorry that we put a poor product out there for you guys. We're sorry that we had a team that went to the Super Bowl last year and rose expectations this year. We're sorry that we didn't meet those expectations. We're sorry that we turned into a very fraudulent team. A team that went and got ass stomped by the San Francisco 49ers was never able to recover. I'm sorry, and Howie Roseman should specifically say this. I'm sorry for completely ignoring the flaws in our team, completely ignoring all the holes that I left in this defense, in our linebacking core, in our secondary, in all those places, because it was a huge question mark. A huge question mark. I'm sorry that I brought back a James Bradbury that is cooked, and now we're going to have to cut him and eat that dead cap for the next couple of seasons. You see all the mistakes there? There's so many question marks. What happens with Slay? What happens with a lot of these guys? I do think there was a post from Adam Schefter that showcased all of the free agents that the Eagles have this offseason. And I'm sure they're probably not going to bring most of these guys back. So, Eagles' key free agents for this offseason: Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, DeAndre Swift, Quez Watkins, Opeta, Nicholas Morrow, Zach Cunningham, Shaq Leonard, Bradley Roby, Olamide Zaccheaus, Boston Scott, Marcus Mariota, Julio Jones, Jack Driscoll, Rashad Penny, and Braden Mann. I doubt the Eagles bring back any of those guys. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, are those guys going to come back? Fletcher Cox took a pay cut this year to stay. Is he going to be willing to do that again? Would Brandon Graham be willing to come back for another year? There's so many question marks that are not going to be answered in a single day. They're not. They're just not. They're just not. Not going to be answered in a single day. And we're just going to have to wait until those questions are answered, because this is going to be a long off season. This is going to be a long off season. All three coaches should be fired. All three coaches should be fired. And if you want to blame Jalen Hurts for everything, go ahead. If you want to blame Jalen Hurts for everything, go ahead. This is not a Carson Wentz situation. Yeah, Jalen Hurts having that big paycheck and that big payment above his head is going to give him more criticism. It will. It will. And and of course, there's so many people that hate Jalen Hurts on Twitter. There's a couple of people right here in the chat that are already saying Jalen Hurts is terrible, and people were wrong about Jalen Hurts. Let them. Let them. I firmly believe if you hire another coach, offensive coordinator, head coach, that actually knows how to make play calls and actually knows how to put their players in good positions to succeed. Because here's the thing with the Eagles offense. The Eagles have a lot of talent, right? A lot of high-end talent. A lot of high-end talent. Quarterback, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, everything. They have a lot of high-end talent there in those positions. Their offensive game plan was relying to be bailed out by your high-end talent. Not setting them up in positions to succeed. Not setting them up in areas to be open. Not finding ways to break the defense. Not finding ways to do anything at all. You were just hoping to be bailed out on these simple plays. Whether it's a deep ball in the double coverage, whether it's a simple slant route and hopefully one of your receivers breaks through and gets a deep, run after the catch. Anything. You were overly reliant on your high-end talent to completely bail you out of every single situation. And that is not a way to succeed. That is not a way to succeed. It just isn't. A good coaching staff puts your high-end talent in even better positions to prove why they're high-end talent. It puts them in even better spots. A coaching staff can scheme up how to get players open, because defenses will adjust. You need to know how to adjust back. And the Eagles just kept throwing the same thing out there on the dartboard, and they just were praying that it stuck, praying that they were able to hit it with the dart. They were just praying that they were able to have that pinpoint accuracy to let it land there to where they wanted it to be. And that was if the play design was Jalen Hurts chucking it up 30-plus yards to A.J. Brown in double coverage, the coaching staff was praying to God that A.J. Brown made those catches. or Devontae Smith in double coverage, and they were praying Devontae made those catches. Rarely would you see your receivers get wide open or schemed wide open. Just rarely saw it. And that was your downfall of the offense. Disregarding the run game, which was one of your better strengths this year, and you barely utilized it. And tonight was one of those, basically another example of you just completely avoiding it, just completely disregarding it. Same stuff, man. Same stuff. Just is. Same stuff, man. Same stuff. All it is. Let's see. Anything else here? Baker Mayfield in the day. He was good. 22 of 36, 337 yards, 3 touchdowns, 119 quarterback rating. Rashad White had 18 carries for 72 yards. Tampa Bay ran the ball 29 times, and you ran the ball 15 times. That's not good. Let's see. Otten, he had 8 receptions for 89 yards. Mike Evans had a couple of drops. He had 7 targets. I believe he had at least 3 big drops there, which could have been even a bigger score for Tampa Bay. Not one guy had like a breakout game, mainly besides Otten. Moore had 2 catches for 66 yards, and that was basically just because of Bradbury missing his goddamn tackle as a example of the entire Eagles defense just missing tackles. That's basically it. Let's see. What else is there? Next gen stats. Jalen Hurts was under pressure in under 2.5 seconds. 13 times against the Buccaneers defense, tying a career high. The Buccaneers generated 10 unblocked pressures, tied for the most in any game by a defense this season. And y'all want to blame Jalen Hurts. And Joseph in here wants to blame Jalen Hurts. Oh, you fools. Oh, you fools. Oh, you fools. Not saying that Jalen Hurts is the perfect player. It's not all of his fault, though. That's my saying. It's not all of his fault. Not all of his fault. Let's see. Let's see. Don't think there's anything here on Twitter right now in terms of post-game press conference stuff. Let's see. It's funny. There was a Jay Gruden, the former Washington head coach. He posted on Twitter, "If I ever put a quarterback through what Philly's putting Jalen through, I apologize. Pick up the blitz." And then Robert Griffin III re-quote tweeted it saying, "Say what?" Because Gruden was probably partially responsible for ruining Robert Griffin's career. Oh, man. What else? What else is there here on social? What else is there on Twitter? Trying to see. Let's see. Trying to see. Yep, just showing more clips of Jason Kelce going down the field. Yeah. Yeah. Fired his entire offensive coaching staff. Please. Please. Kevin Nagandi says, "Just don't see how Nick Sirianni can survive. Can't believe that's where we are at, but that's what's happened after this coaching disaster and the biggest collapse in Eagles history. Actions speak louder than words, and better coaches have been fired for less under Jeffrey Lurie." That's 100%. Lane Johnson says he thinks he has a few more good years left. Interesting, I guess. But that's still, not enough. Because if Kelce retires, that's a big hole lost there. That's a big hole to replace. You had to replace basically one of the best centers to ever play the game. It's a huge loss to replace Kelce. Yep. More comments on Lane Johnson saying he thinks he has a good years left. Lane Johnson admitted that Jason Kelce has hinted at this being his last game. Johnson seemed pretty emotional when asked about Kelce. Yep. This is 100%. That was 100% Lane's. That was 100% Kelce's last game. 100%. It just looks too obvious. You know what I mean? Just way too obvious that it was his last game. And you see Dallas Goedert frustrated on the sideline in some of these video clips that are posted on Twitter. Goedert just yelling at Hurts, everything. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous how this entire thing was just completely falling apart. Brian Dawkins and Brian Westbrook going back and forth on Twitter, just basically agreeing with each other about the coaching decisions. Brian Dawkins says, I don't understand their love for wide receiver screens. Unless it's to a shifty running back, the wide receivers don't have the wiggles to make people miss. And then Brian Westbrook quote tweeted that saying, facts. Man. Man, oh man. Man, oh man, oh man, oh man. It's amazing. I don't even want to get into talks about head coach, like what coaches would that's another talk for another day. That is another talk for another day because I need to do research for that. I need to find facts for that. What coaches would fit properly because in today's NFL, it's better to get an offensively minded head coach, and Nick Sirianni was supposed to be an offensively minded head coach, and look where that got us. An offensively minded head coach that knows how to play call because I would be very skeptical about getting a defensive first minded head coach because that just makes it all the more important to have a really good offensive coordinator. And when you get really good offensive coordinators, i.e. Shane Steichen, they get poached easily because of how good they are, and they'll get taken for a head coaching job. So, yeah. I expect all these coaches to be fired. They should be fired, in my personal opinion. They should be. They just should be. And, yeah, the head coaching decisions, thoughts on that, that should come another day. That should come another day. Because I just don't have the headspace to personally think of people that you can hire. Like right now, the only thing that comes to the top of my head is poaching someone maybe from Baltimore, maybe poaching someone from Houston with the way their offense has been this year. Is Eric Bieniemy from Washington a choice? The guy that used to be Kansas City's offensive coordinator now is Washington's offensive coordinator. I'm sure he's looking for a head coaching gig. Yeah. Brandon Graham says he wants to come back for one more farewell season if the Eagles will have him. He says it's fueling me. Well, I guess Brandon Graham's willing to come back. Is Howie Roseman willing to bring him back? That's the question mark there. Personally, I don't think Fletch comes back just because he took a pay cut already to come back this year, and I'm sure he's not going to want to take another pay cut. That's just my personal opinion, unless he just really loves this city and this franchise, and he'll give anything his heart and soul for them. I wouldn't be shocked if that's the case either. But, yeah, that's there. And we do have some voicemails here on the Anytime Hotline, so we'll get to them in a little bit. I just want to see if there's anything else here from like post-game pressers or anything like that, because I'm not sure when Nick Sirianni is going to be speaking. I'm not sure when Jalen Hurts is going to be speaking or anything like that, because Monday, Tuesday, and all that stuff. Wednesday, maybe you'll be getting stuff from Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie and stuff. So that'll be interesting. So we'll definitely over the week we'll definitely have some more pods here on the Eagles because I'm trying to think of everything here. I'm just trying to think in terms of scheduling right now. I'll also get to you guys in the live feed too. I won't ignore you guys. I'm just trying to think of the schedule for the future right here. So tomorrow, I'll probably post this in like the morning or the afternoon because I'll probably do that recording after this is done. I'll post my Flyers Blues recap, so that'll be up for tomorrow. Um, so that'll be there. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll probably have some more Eagles talk. We could probably do some stuff there those nights, tomorrow night, and then Wednesday night. We could definitely do something there. Thursday, Flyers stuff, unless there's more Eagles news in the afternoon. I'll post something in the afternoon. This week can definitely be very heavy Eagles. Definitely could be very heavy Eagles, whether it's streams, whether it's recordings. So it's definitely on the air and all that stuff. So you guys will get your notifications in the subscription feed. You'll definitely get those there. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else here. Deleted anything there. Fletcher Cox declines interviews, says, I'm not available. Lane Johnson calls loss in season very embarrassing. Interesting. This is from Dave Zangaro of NBC Sports Philadelphia. Lane Johnson said that he loves Jason Kelce like a brother, says Kelce has hinted about retirement, but he isn't sure, says there won't be another one like Kelce. Okay. I'll constantly refresh Twitter as we move along, but let's get to the hotline, the Anytime hotline here. Get to some of your calls. We have a couple of calls here. We got one from Tyler, one from Pat. So let's get to Tyler first. I think Tyler was in the watch party during this game, so I think Pat was too. So we'll get to you guys here, and I'll just browse Twitter just to see what else is going on here. So let's get to the Anytime hotline. Tyler, what you got?
What's going on, man? It's Tyler here calling for your future, if you can even call it that, Eagles podcast, because it's almost coming up. It's the end of the game now. I'm not even going to wait until it's over. All those weeks, all those days, it felt like weeks, huh? All those days worth of hyping up, all the Brandon Graham saying, oh, it's 0-0, we're coming in with a new mindset. All that, like Jason Kelce's hype up video, all of it was done for absolutely nothing. They played like shit, they acted like shit. Even the defensive people who made a bunch of stops and made a couple sacks, celebrating like they won the Super Bowl. It's a joke. Nick Sirianni needs to be fired. Nick Sirianni needs to be fired right now. Ryan Johnson, that's a whole nother discussion. I think, clean up house. I don't know if that's going to do much for you, but I'll tell you what. Firing Nick Sirianni will definitely be the statement of the century for the Eagles because this team did not come to play. No surprise, but you would think with all the hype videos, you'd think they'd come with at least something. But no, not even the fundamental smarts of football did they come with. So I don't got nothing to say other than, well, it still sucks to our disadvantage anyway since we lost. But I'll talk to you next time. Peace. Go Flyers.
Thanks, Tyler. Appreciate the call. Yeah, you're right. If you thought this team was going to come out with any fire, this team didn't come out for, what was it, week 12, week 13 against San Francisco, after San Francisco talked all that trash in the offseason about getting back to you for the NFC Championship game. Remember all that trash San Fran talked about you, and you let them walk into your building, and you got absolutely curb stomped? You guys didn't show up for that game either. And then all the panic moves happened. Apparently, the Matt Patricia, we even know Matt Patricia, he was announced as the full-time defensive play caller, I believe during the Seattle game, even though he was switched to that like 3 weeks prior. So he was probably the defensive play caller during the San Francisco game, and we just didn't know it. Or he was the third down play caller, and we just didn't know it at that point. So, a lot of shit, man. Just a lot of shit. But yeah, Sirianni lost his room. He's never going to get it back. I don't think he can get it back. And especially with the way that just collapsed like this, I don't think you could bring Sirianni back. I understand he made the playoffs in his first 3 seasons as a head coach, and no Eagles head coach has ever done that in their history of a franchise. No head coach has ever done that. But coaches have been fired for way worse than this. Coaches have been fired for way less than this. Better coaches than Nick Sirianni. So it's you need to do it. You need to do it. I think you can have Jalen Hurts bounce back and play better next year. I'm not saying up to MVP level, but still be a really good quarterback in this league if you give him a competent head coach and an offensive coordinator that know how to draw up an offensive scheme that put your players in positions to succeed. Because majority of this reason for the collapse is coaching. The coaching has been terrible. This is worse than a high school offense. This is worse than the Pee Wee offense with the way the Eagles run things. Like I said, they rely way too much on their high-end talent to bail them out of the simplest things. They rely way too much on it instead of putting your high-end talent in positions to succeed. Instead, you're relying on your high-end talent to win double coverages constantly. All these hard throws and all this stuff, you're relying way too much on that. And that was your downfall, besides the defense, and Matt Patricia and all that shit. Besides that, you need to start fresh. You need to start fresh. That's what I say. That's what I say. You need to start fresh. Let's get to our next caller here. Let's get to Pat. See what he's got.
Hey, Amadio, it's Pat. First of all, I just want to thank you for all the streams of covering the Eagles this year. You know, we've been through a lot of adversity, and I think this team has been through a lot of adversity as well. I mean, first of all, the hardest schedule in the NFL, man, and all these late night games and everything. And not only do I imagine how hard that could be for the players and their lives and, you know, what they're going, like, just their interactions in the locker rooms, but, you know, just being at home, when you have work and life outside of sports and stuff, you know, it's hard to keep paying attention week to week, you know, and I just appreciate your covering of our favorite team, our favorite sports teams and everything. So I wanted to thank you for that. Obviously, I'm very upset that this is how the season is ending, and it's just sad that it goes out this way to see, you know, Kelce is, I don't see him coming back, and Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox, you know, is, who knows at this point. A lot of questions with the coaching staff and everything as well. You know, it's very uncertain, and it's also very bittersweet that, you know, I try to reserve talking crap about the Cowboys because, yeah, they lost yesterday, but at the end of the day, we ultimately made it as far as they did in the playoffs, so that doesn't make me feel much better either. But I don't know. I mean, I wasn't sure. I'm toxic optimist, so I wasn't sure if I wasn't ready to fire Sirianni yet, but man, we'll have to see how this off season goes. And yeah, I guess I'll see you then. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate all the kind words there, Pat. You are a constant viewer of the recordings and the streams. I appreciate you being a longtime subscriber here and everything like that. I appreciate, man. Appreciate all the kind words, and yeah, it's continuing to go up from here, man. I mean, our time was wasted. Our time was wasted. And to the Cowboys' point, I'm still gonna make fun of the Cowboys. I still am. I still am. Because honestly, I can say as an Eagles fan, I expected this. I expected this. Cowboys fans still went with the blind faith and optimism that this was their year. This is our year. Blah, 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 blah. And once again, reality struck them in the face. Eagles fans knew what was happening 5 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago. This team wasn't good enough. This team wasn't good enough. It just wasn't. You really thought a team with this much turmoil would have a chance to go to the Super Bowl and win a Super Bowl? No. No. Nah. Nah. And here's also something from Olivia Reiner of the Inquirer. Jason Kelce declined to interview in the locker room, so he's done. He is done. He is done. Yeah, he says he declines to speak. He says, no, guys, not today. Sorry. Yeah, he's going through a lot, man. I'm sure he's processing a lot in his mind. I feel bad for the man. I do. I feel bad for the guy. Put his heart and soul into this franchise. Should have won a Super Bowl last year. Didn't. Would have been a second Super Bowl. And this is possibly his last game, and it just turned into complete turmoil and shit to finish the season. And that's the way his career goes out. Not to say that Jason was to blame for the entire thing. It wasn't at all. He was the 157th worst thing on their list. That was the issue. It sucks. It sucks for him to do that. Like it makes you bad feelings there, man. It just does. It sucks for that, for a Hall of Famer, probably one of the best centers in ever played the game. Just sucks that that was the performance you did in his possible final game. He deserves better. He deserves way better. He just does. And you didn't. Yeah, more stuff on Brandon Graham saying he's willing to play one more season. Yeah, so far Sirianni nor Hurts have said anything yet, so I don't know when those two guys are going to be talking. It's probably going to be right after I end this stream, most likely. So if we don't get to it, we'll get to it another time. Maybe tomorrow. Renee, how you doing? Yep, Flyers did kick ass. I'll definitely record the Flyers recap after this, and then post it in the morning. So don't worry about that. Yep, Flyers and the Sixers did win. I guess that I'm pumped with the Flyers win, but right now it's all Eagles. Yeah, Joseph, if you want to say that shit about Jalen, say that shit about Jalen. I don't give a damn. Jackson, now you know how us Cowboys fans feel. Now all your Eagles fans. I'm still going to talk my shit about Dallas, man. It's a two-way street here, man. You could talk your shit about us. We could talk your shit about you. It's one of those things. It's one of those things. Nah, they're not in a position to full rebuild. Not in a position at all. Not in a position at all. Yes, I do want Sirianni fired. I do want Sirianni fired. Who's the better team owner, Middleton or Lurie? Not getting into that debate. I think they're both really good owners. I do. But for some reason, it always thinks, like for the past so many years, it's always been like some type of turmoil in the locker room after the year after they win the Super Bowl. And now this year, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's the arrogance that allows that toxic culture to spread after a couple of years of a new regime. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, that's basically it there. That's basically it. I think that's all we have on the Anytime Hotline today. Sadly, no Sean call today. He'll probably call on a different day. Probably either fell asleep, didn't pay attention to the game, doing what Sean normally does. But we did get a couple of calls here from Tyler and Pat, so I appreciate you guys for doing that. I do appreciate all the guys that are tuning into the stream, even though it's probably, current subscribers. I appreciate all you guys. If you're new to the channel and all that stuff, if you're a new viewer to this stream and this channel, definitely I recommend hitting that subscribe button. If you are, a troll, all that stuff, still recommend you hitting the subscribe button because why not? Why not? Sirianni is talking now, currently on Postgame. Sirianni is talking now. Before, actually. I want to hear this. I want to hear this. So if I'm quiet, I'm just listening to the press conference. I don't know if you guys can hear this, but so that's why I'm being quiet. I'm just listening to Sirianni on the television.
So whenever you're out of flow like that and we're not in sync like we were, it's gonna be hard to get your carries when you're behind the sticks. And we had a 2-minute drive there as well. So hey, listen, we need to be able to run it more. Obviously, we weren't able to today to get into a flow, and that's on me. Short stuff in the season. Obviously, we're in a big slide, and you know, anytime that's the case, I always look at myself first, and I didn't do a good enough job, and obviously we lost 5 of the last 6 and lost today, and it's almost like you couldn't get out of the rut we couldn't get out of the rut we're in, and that's
Really, Nick? Couldn't get out of the rut you were in.
We all have to look ourselves in the mirror and accept that, and you know, just find answers, find solutions. But obviously, you know, when you start 10-1, you know, and then you get into what happened for us. Obviously, that the expectations were high. Expectations were even higher when we started.
I'll try to bring this audio in for you guys.
Fell into a skid, so I'll look at everything. I'll look at, you know, obviously the play
Just
calling.
pardon a moment right here.
You know, the scheme.
I'll try to bring this audio for you guys so you can hear it more clearly.
Everything that we're doing, because you know, I think that the past 2, you know, the scheme. I'll look at, you know, practices. I'll look at everything that we're doing, because you know, I think that the past 2 years, you know, did some things. We got hot a little bit at the end. And then this year wasn't that case. So anytime that's the case, you're going to look for answers in those scenarios. You know, because it's not always the answer isn't always like, okay, we finished hot last year, lost our last game, do the same thing. You got to be able to adjust. We did some adjusting and things, but we'll look at everything.
You're looking at everything. Does that include potentially changing coordinator, especially on the defensive side?
Yeah, I mean that's a little premature to talk through that. Everybody in that locker room's hurting right now. Coaches, players, staff, everybody in that locker room's hurting. And my job right now is to be there for them, be there for the guys. We'll get into all that. I'm not there yet. But yeah, we're hurting right now. It's tough to go out, the way we did this. Hats off to the Bucs. They had a good game plan. They did a good job. But my mind right now is not there. I got a lot of time to think about that. My mind right now is on the locker room, the guys, the coaches, all those things.
Nick, how did you guys get against the Blitz tonight? But are you concerned at all about your job?
Like I just said like I just said over here, I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about the guys. Again, there's a lot of guys in that locker room, all the guys in that locker room, every single one of them that put their heart and soul into this. I'm not worried about me. I'm not worried. I'm as the head coach, I'm just trying to be there for our guys and our staff right now. Through a tough time. Obviously we didn't finish anywhere near we wanted to finish. And so again, my heart feels for these guys. We're all taking it hard, and that's where my mind is right now. Obviously it was almost a similar play, the safety that we got on them with momentum. And so, anytime a safety like that happens, it's a big momentum change, right? They were up 16-9. I thought our defense was doing a good job, at the beginning of the end of the first half, beginning of the second half. It kind of swung the momentum, there. They made a good play, and we didn't. Not necessarily. I'll have to look at the tape of exactly what happened on that. He's trying to make a play. He does so many good things of making plays, and when he extends plays when something's not there, and you can't get really excited and when he makes game plan changing plays, and then crush him when something like that happens. And so he's made a lot more plays than he hasn't there in that particular case. We got to put him in a better position to make a play, to start things off. And then, hey, like I said, he's made a ton of plays that way. He's tried to make a play in that situation. It didn't work this time.
How do you think Jalen and the offense handled the blitz?
An issue throughout the game.
I'll get you
about that. Through the weeks, and you mentioned early in the season, you guys were near the top of the league. When that sort of turns in a drastic direction, how do you look at that as a coach?
Sure. Again, yeah, you just got to look at how you're going about your business, and tackling is a tricky thing. Not a lot of teams are going to tackle live. All right, I don't think any teams are going to tackle live, to be quite honest with you, especially late in the season. And so you got to look at how you're drilling it. You got to look how you're, the different technology that they have to help you drill it, because obviously, throughout the body of work of the season, it was good, but it wasn't as good in the last couple of weeks. I think that you can kind of look at everything. If you look at the body of work and a lot of different things this season, the numbers may say one thing, but it wasn't good enough in the past month of the season, right? And so, again, that's going to go back to how we practice all those different things. I know we had a lot of guys healthy, and we only had 2 starters not here for this game. So part of you wants to say to yourself, well, all hands were on deck for the most part. Obviously, Nakobe and Sydney, AJ would have been able to be back, I'm assuming. But 2 guys out that were season-ending injuries. You want all hands on deck, but you also got to make sure that you're doing the right things with practice. So we'll look at all that. Again, I'm not there yet with that.
Jalen and the offense handled the blitz tonight.
Hey, we scored 9 points. So how do I think the better way to say that is, how do you think the coaching staff and the players handled the blitz tonight? Because it's not just on one person, we didn't do a good enough job. Starts with me, being able to put them in the right positions to help them make plays. Tried some different things. Hats off to them. They had a good game plan. We didn't coach or play well enough tonight.
Kelce was emotional coming off the field. Your thoughts on him, particularly if this was the end?
Yeah, I love him. I don't. Obviously, we're not there at that position yet, or to talk about that, or but he's special, and I love him. He's one of the most special guys I've been around. So, obviously, he's always got a place and here, and always want him to play. We'll see what happens as time progresses here.
Given the way the last second half of the season went, I guess what gives you the confidence that you can fix some of the problems that persisted?
Yeah, we believe in ourselves. I'm not sitting in this room, for any reason, and it's the same thing with these guys. I'm really not. I'm not built that way. What gives me the confidence to think that we can fix it? Because we believe in ourselves, and we're in these seats at the at the top of our profession, because we worked our ass off to get here. And I can promise you this, that nobody in that locker room thinks that way even a little bit. I don't know in what profession anyone does think that way, and doubts themselves, but sure as hell ain't us.
What do your next few days look like in terms of meeting with Jeffrey? And I know you said that your focus is on the players right now, and you'll get to have.
Yeah, I'm not. Again, like I said, I'm not there yet. I don't know exactly quite yet. Wasn't expecting it to end tonight. It did, and I'll put together a schedule here on the plane while at home, and then tomorrow.
Was there anything specific the Bucs did on offense that really kind of let them move the ball at will on you guys?
Yeah, they ran it well. I thought Baker did some good things, with some pressure things. That he made that really good play against Blitz Zero. Down the middle was at the Godwin, I think. They got some really good players, and I thought they ran the football well, and hats off to them.
Last one.
You mentioned the belief.
Go ahead. I got a guy.
Nick, when you talked about not being able to get out of the rut late in the season, do you look back at some of the decisions and wonder why they didn't work?
Yeah, again, like I said, anytime, I'm not going to – anytime we make a decision that doesn't work, I'm going to drag myself through the mud and attempts to get better from it. We don't brush things by. We just try to look for solutions, and obviously our solutions weren't good enough near the end. But we'll go back to the drawing board as we continue on.
Okay, that was it for Nick Sirianni. That's typical coach talk. Defending the players, putting all the blame on him. Obviously he's not going to be focused on his job security right now. Same thing with the coordinators. He's not going to give you anything. It's going to be typical coach speak and all that stuff. Not going to be anything. So, yeah, we'll find out more as the weeks go along. I'm sure Jalen's going to be talking in a little bit, but I got other things to do right now. So, this is where I'm going to end it off, and I do see some of you guys are trailing off on the stream right here, so I think this is a good place to end it rather than not. So I appreciate you guys, tuning in to all, the Eagles recaps and all this stuff throughout the entire season. Sucks that it ended the way that it did, but, saw some new guys pop up in the chat during the season, new subscribers and all that stuff, so I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you stick around for the off-season's content that happens with the Eagles, for the stuff that we're probably doing this week with the Eagles content. Definitely going to be having a lot of conversations about this team over the course of the off-season, so this is definitely something that I'm not going to let slide, just because of all the things that most likely will be happening in terms of coaching changes and all that stuff, personnel changes. So it's definitely something that we're going to have to, study as we get into the spring and the summer and all that stuff before training camp even starts, the draft and all of that. So definitely stay tuned for all of that. Like I said, I appreciate you guys for hanging out during the season, from all the highs from the beginning to the lowest of the lows at this point with the way the season ended. But yeah, get some stuff to do this week. More stuff, probably more Eagles talk the next couple of days, so stay tuned for all that stuff. Like I said, I'm going to be recording my Flyers recap after this. That'll be posted in the morning, so you'll have that for your morning go-around if you choose to view that or not. So, yeah, thank you guys for joining tonight. Don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It does me a great deal of service. Join the TTP Sports family. Doing some good things here. Eagle season is over, but the discussion doesn't mean it has to end. Also, use the code TTPSports, $20 off your first purchase at SEATGEEK. Great deal, don't pass it up. And for the Eagles 2023-24 season, ends in failure. That's all it is. Failure. I'll see you guys next time.